You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Handsome Aaron Airport. We made it through another weird week of Canadiana. Now it's time to just sit back, relax, unwind, and unwrap the week behind us. But before we do that, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm good. It's snowing here tonight, as it was in your area as well.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how we live about a 5-hour drive apart. So if I have a weather system pass over my house, like I did earlier today, I had a snowstorm. It's almost like a love letter that gets sent down to you, Aaron, because now 4 or 5 hours later, that same snow is falling on your house and on your driveway, and will probably make your morning commute chaotic.
Yeah, you look at it as a love letter. I look at it as sloppy seconds.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Let's not talk weather, though. Let's talk special drinks. I was happy to see at the grocery store this week, they had a new zero sugar orange crush. I haven't had an orange crush in a long time. I'm getting back on the wagon.
Wow, cool. Yeah, orange is an exciting... Oh, my God, are you okay?
I'm good. I'm great. What do you got over there?
What do I got? Okay, I was at the grocery store as well. And I wasn't seeing much, but I did pick up a bubbly sparkling water blackberry flavor.
I love those bubblies. They kind of came out of nowhere to become a popular drink. You see them everywhere. They're just like lightly flavored carbonated water.
Very lightly.
Yeah, they're nice. But I find they're and I don't know if there's a level of carbonation in a drink, but if there is, I find bubbly very carbonated. And I find after I drink one, I'm like, whoa, like I've just drank 14 carbonated pops or something.
Yeah, that's how you feel.
But anyway, I'm glad you got something nice, and I'm sure all the listeners out there are happy to hear we both have special drinks tonight, and I hope everyone listening has a special drink as they peruse the grocery store aisles, commute to work, jog, maybe they're mountain climbing, listening to us, but with whatever they're doing while we're with them, I just hope they're happy.
Yeah, they're more than likely mountain climbing. That's when you look at the statistics of our listeners, it's generally high elevation. Listeners, their ears tend to be popping sometimes when they're listening to us, which can be painful, but it works.
Yeah. What does work is following up on prior stories that we've covered in the past to squeeze more weird juice out of them. Let's start the show with that. We have kind of two updates, or not so much updates, but we have two ways we can build on stories we discussed in the past. As you like to do it, we're going to be bookending this episode with some voicemails. So let's open up the show with a voicemail from Meg, a listener, a correspondent from Newfoundland, who wants to give a bit of background on the loss of the cherry blossom candy that we discussed last week and what that means for people in Newfoundland. It seems to be hitting them especially hard there. Here's Meg's message.
Hey friends, I wanted to send you a quick voicemail after listening to the most recent episode. I'll be honest, while I can't say much to defend us when it comes to the backhoe bandit shenanigans here in Newfoundland, I did want to weigh in on the death of the cherry blossom. As you've pointed out a number of times, Jordan, we are an extremely weird province, and one of our silly little quirks, which is probably my favorite, is having really unusual cultural food and drink icons that we basically make our whole personality. Newfoundlanders, young and old, love the cherry blossom. Some other examples you might know are Hawkins cheesies, Vienna sausages, Mr. Big Stick bologna, if you think back to the St. John's Christmas Parade, buckets of cured salt beef, Carnation evaporated milk in a can, the whole Mary Brown's franchise, especially the Big Mary and taters. So I do ask that you please respect our grief in this trying time and don't be too hard on us when reporting our weird stories, which undoubtedly are plentiful. I would be happy to offer a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of personally curating a sampling platter for you both. My only stipulation would be that you have to take a shot of the Vienna sausage juice for my amusement. Let me know what you think.
The idea of like Vienna sausage juice reminds me of something that happened like a week ago. I was at IKEA in Halifax, and there's like the little food counter, which is always a popular stop at IKEA. And I bought hot dogs, and my kids were with me, and they saw them serving the hot dogs, and they use like tongs, and they go in this big thing of boiling water and pull hot dogs out. Neither of my kids have ever seen like a boiled hot dog. They're used to me like barbecuing them or something. If we ever were to eat them, neither of my kids would eat the hot dog coming out of that disgusting water. The Vienna sausage juice sounds worse than hot dog water.
Yeah, it's the concept of drinking somebody's bath water. I find it the food equivalent of that, you know, where something's been stewing in water for God knows how long, and it's just filled with their bacteria and their juices and their essence. And then you drink it. It turns my stomach a bit. I didn't know that the Vienna sausage was a Newfoundland creation. Is that what I'm understanding correctly?
I don't know about creation, but it's seems to be, based on what Meg said, a popular food there. I didn't know that either. I don't think I even know what a Vienna sausage is. They're just like little sausages in a can or something.
Yeah, it's canned sausages or little tiny bite-sized sausages. I've never had them.
Yuck.
I've
disgusting.
heard people speak of them, some fondly, some not. But no judgment of people who love Vienna sausages. I've just never tried them, and I probably never will, to be honest.
She offers to curate a tray of those disgusting foods from Weird Newfoundland. Do you want to do it?
I would need to see her food handling certificates to make sure that everything is in line with the government expectations of food safety, so we can look at that and see that paperwork. And then once all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and everything looks good, we can talk about how the food will be transported. Let's keep our minds open to it and then see what plan Meg has to bring us these delicious delights from Newfoundland.
I'd say, show us the contract, Meg, and then we can talk about it. She does ask that we go gentle on Newfoundland. I guess we should say that we just released a bonus episode on the Keep Canada Weird feed and the Nighttime Premium feed that didn't go very easy on Newfoundland. I don't know if the province of Newfoundland will claim the biggest loser in Canada, though, the hockey heckler we discussed. But I believe that Meg sent us that voicemail before realizing we just released a separate episode that dunks on Newfoundland pretty hard.
I don't know if we really went that hard on Newfoundland we went hard on one of their people. On one Newfoundlander. Yes, we did. Yeah, we went pretty hard on that guy. But, you know, that guy lives off of bathwater, so.
Go Caps, go!
To Corey Sims, heckling is a part of the game, just like fistfighting and losing teeth. Sims knows his antics get under everyone's skin, but he says, suck it up.
You know, if the hockey moms can't handle me yelling and heckling at the rinks, I think they should stick to crosswords and knitting. And if the young men, I should say, can't handle a bit of heckling at the rink, they should stick to tiddlywinks and PlayStation.
Yeah, well, luckily, Newfoundland's going to get a break tonight because almost all the stories we pulled for tonight's episode almost all come out of British Columbia. I don't know what's been going on in British Columbia over the last week, but it's been a rip-roaring time down there. One story that I want to just start the show off with, coming out of BC, kind of ties into something we talked about last week as well. On our last episode, we covered the backhoe bandits of Newfoundland. That was the group of thieves that were using stolen heavy equipment to rip ATMs out of businesses. Well, this week we have a very similar story that plays out on the other side of the country. A collectible card shop in Kelowna, BC was hit by an early morning smash and grab this past weekend that involved the use of a stolen flatbed truck. Let's listen to the story of the flatbed bandits of Kelowna, BC, and their mission, I guess, to catch all the Pokemon. Here it comes.
Our alarms were going crazy, and we got the phone calls you don't want to get in the morning.
A gut-wrenching call telling Jason Wobschall his store was in shambles.
You're trying to get dressed and ready and fly out of the house and call 911, and it's just all those things you don't want to be doing when you're just woke up from a dead sleep.
It was around 4:15 Monday morning when a stolen flatbed truck smashed into Player's Choice sports cards and collectibles in Kelowna, completely shattering the storefront.
The information we have right now is that, or with the timeline of events, that as soon as the truck was stolen, it was driven immediately to the storefront, which we believe in that case it is a targeted incident, along with a secondary vehicle that followed suit.
Well, I think Pokemon cards are really hot right now, and sports cards, and they're not the easiest thing you would think to go sell on the street and pawn off and do whatever, so I don't quite know the purpose of it, but they are in the news a lot right now, and it does make us a high-profile target for sure.
Once inside, the suspect helped themselves to as many collectibles as possible.
He had this huge garbage can, and he just started filling it to the brim.
Police say the man who entered the store was wearing 2 hoodies, one white, one red, a black jacket, jeans, and runners. And the second getaway vehicle was a white pickup truck.
No arrests at this time. The investigation does remain ongoing, though.
You know, I don't know what Kelowna business people are going to do, and our sleepy town's not so sleepy anymore.
The store plans to reopen within the week.
Oddly enough, not our first time covering the theft of Pokemon cards on this show. This one's different, though. To use a flatbed to bust down the front of a store just to end up with a garbage can full of Pokemon cards and collectibles. But that said, some of that stuff is worth a lot of money, and it's you're almost like running a jewelry store nowadays when you run a collectibles shop.
Yeah, you are. And I mean, this whole using a vehicle concept to smash into a business and then just take whatever, whether it's a bank machine, whether it's Pokemon cards, that's catching on around the country. Eh? So we need to, this is another uprising on our hands, the vehicle uprising.
The stolen vehicle uprising. It seems it, but it's nothing new. That's people are using stolen cars to commit crimes. But usually it's like you steal a car and you use it as like your getaway car.
Yeah, it's your getaway. Yeah, it's not your key into the store. Remember, like in movies when there's a jewel heist and there's always the plan leading up to the heist that the criminals are going through and all the intricate details that they have to consider. There's all of the security systems. There's the night watchman. You know, they have all the lasers going in all these different directions and the criminals lower down from the ceiling.
You're talking Mission Impossible type
stuff. Yeah. Like, you know, they have the jewel sitting there on a weighted alarm, and then they find something the exact weight of the jewel, and then they replace it really quickly.
Like Indiana Jones did.
But you don't see that now. People just smash into the front of the store with a stolen pickup truck or something, and then just take it and then run.
Yeah. I feel bad for the shop owner, though. Generally, a collectible card shop is owned and managed by someone with a passion for that subculture, you know, a collector himself. And it seems like this guy who runs the shop has been trying to keep the store safe. Like I don't know if it was mentioned in the article, but as I did a bit of reading, the shop used to be kind of in like downtown Kelowna, but due to the amount of theft and shoplifting and stuff, he decided to move a little further outside of the city, only to have this happen. And I should also say that this story comes to us from a listener who pitched this or who passed this news along to us, a listener named Chad. So Chad and everyone affected by this, I wish you all the best. Shame on the flatbed bandits of Kelowna, BC, and I hope you guys don't catch all the Pokemon.
Yeah. And I have a hard time relating to this whole stealing Pokemon craze. I don't collect. I don't know anything about Pokemon. I'm completely ignorant to it. Like, is this something that you would steal?
No, I don't think I'd steal Pokemon. There's a lot of stuff I'd steal.
Yeah, you'd steal G.I. Joes. So would you steal a truck and smash it into a G.I. Joe store?
Probably, but that's cool. They're military action figures, and they come with weapons and accessories. Pokemon card, it's like to even pronounce the name of the Pokemon. You sound like such a nerd to sell a bunch of stolen Pokemon cards. I'd be so embarrassed. I would be just as likely to like set up a live stream of me eating ice cream late at night on my couch. It's like equally embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing. I'd subscribe to that. People like that kind of stuff because everybody is so riddled with anxiety that just watching somebody sitting alone in their room eating ice cream calms them.
Really? I don't find that calming. I would think it'd be depressing.
Yeah, but you're heavily medicated. But some people who aren't really need to watch someone doing something really mundane.
Okay.
And yeah, you sitting alone eating ice cream, like I would subscribe to that.
Okay. I'll consider it during the next ad break. We'll take one now. Then when we get back, we'll get into the week's stories. And like I said, we got some wild ones tonight. I say this all the time, but I think tonight we have the weirdest stories that have ever been put together in one episode of Keep Canada Weird. We're going to be talking about penises. We're going to be talking about a serial killer. And we're going to be talking about a divorce case that involves the quest and pursuit to find Bigfoot. Let's have a quick break and we'll be right back and get into it. Aaron, I hope you're ready for this because we have a duo of some of the most violent and depraved stories we've ever covered on Keep Canada Weird. The first one I want to get into takes place in Fort McMurray, played out earlier this month, but as a result of a video of the incident going viral, it's about all anybody has been talking about, especially the people like us who are exploring the weirder side of Canadian news. I've been inundated with messages recommending we cover this. For example, Amy sent me a message that said, please tell me you guys are going to cover the penis saga from Fort McMurray. And I even got a message, a voicemail that I'll air here. This is from a guy named Alberta Fred. Here's his pitch for this story.
Hello, just call me Alberta Fred. I don't know if you heard this story or not, but there was a gentleman in Fort McMurray, Alberta, that got into an altercation at a pub. And in the midst of this altercation, his pants fell down and he ended up falling to the ground. And of course, it's very cold in Fort McMurray, so parts of him froze to the ice that a man would never want to have frozen, if you know what I mean. Anyways, have a good day. Enjoy your show too. I love it. Thanks. Bye.
Well, Alberta Fred, we did hear about this incident before tonight, Aaron, and I sent you our topics. Did you know about this? Did this cross your desk?
No, this is the first I've heard of this, so
I'm surprised.
It was very fresh for me.
Yeah, it was covered everywhere, covered by TMZ as well, which is like a pretty big, like for TMZ to have like coverage of an incident outside of bar in Fort McMurray, Alberta. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
We don't have video. I don't have a video report. I'm going to read you an article that tells us what happened here. You ready for this? Or do you want to read it? I know you like doing the newsboy nonsense.
Oh, well, is the newsboy, I mean, he was...
If you want to do newsboy, that the slogan would be something like Fort McMurray bar brawl ends in frozen penis.
Penis. Just like that?
Yeah.
Penis. Okay,
Yeah, why don't you do it, please?
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Extra, read all about it. Fort McMurray bar brawl ends in frozen penis. All right. A boozy night out turned into a nightmare for a fella in Fort McMurray, Alberta. It started when the still unidentified intoxicated man caused a scene inside the East Village pub and eatery, which led to a brawl that eventually spilled out of the bar and onto a cold Fort McMurray sidewalk. Somehow during the drunken dust-up, the man's pants and underwear ended up near his ankles. But fortunately, bar security and police were able to take control of the situation and pin the man to the ground, belly first. And that's where the real problem started. As police attempted to lift the now handcuffed man off the sidewalk, the crowd of onlookers began to scream as they noticed something the police initially didn't. The man's exposed penis was stuck to the frosty sidewalk. Initially, rumors circulated that the police had to use hot water to free his junk, but that turned out to be untrue. Newly surfaced video of the incident clearly shows the man's being forcibly lifted from the ground and, well, it's unclear how much of any of him was left on the sidewalk. Some are calling this a Canadian circumcision. Others suggest simply wearing a belt if you plan on getting smashed.
It is as bad as that sounds. The video, although the video that I saw had the money shot kind of blurred, you could still see that some of him was connected to the ground as the police lifted him up. So it like stretched out before unconnecting from the ground. That's why it's being called the Canadian circumcision by some people. I think TMZ came up with that. But this is a brutal story. I'm sweating bullets right now, even just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's really disturbing. To the video that I saw earlier this evening, the thoughts in my head and putting myself in this man's shoes. If mine or your penis were frozen to the ground and then being forcibly removed from the ground in a very...
That's torture.
Yeah, it would be awful.
While a bunch of people look and scream, and it's late at night. I looked at the temperature there. I think it was around -5. So that's sidewalk. This is late at night. It's the early morning hours of Sunday. So it's probably like 2 or 3 in the morning. The sidewalk would be so dirty and cold, and there's probably a bunch of chunks of salt.
So imagine that, there's some rippage when he's being pulled up, and the salt from the sidewalk gets into it too. Words can't describe how horrifying this is. The penis is such a vulnerable organ. It didn't come with a natural encasing other than the flesh.
Our rib cage should have evolved to, like, at the bottom it comes out and
it
goes
has a little
down.
door. So like your rib cage goes down past your penis, and then there's a little door made of bones that you open up when you want to use it, whether for expelling urine or showing somebody.
This is an awful story. It would be bad enough if the story was that there was a brawl outside of this bar and a bunch of people were watching and filming it and being live on Instagram as it's happening, and one of the combatants' pants and underwear fell. Like that alone would be like a viral video. Like, oh, it's crazy. Like the police arrested him when he had his pants down.
And his pants are down.
But then, and when you watch the video, and especially when you listen to the sound of the onlookers, they're reacting initially to a naked man being like wrestled by police and arrested by the police. And their cheering and jeering completely changes tone when the police lift him up and they all notice his penis stretch out because of the frozen style. It's just like, it goes from like, to, oh, pick him up, fuck.
Oh my God! No! What the?
Yeah, it's the movie A Christmas Story where the kid gets his tongue stuck to the pole.
Mm-hmm.
It's that in a Fort McMurray retelling.
The Fort McMurray late at night version of A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
And that's actually a pretty good analogy. But that can actually happen. Like the scene you're talking about, for people who haven't seen A Christmas Story, the little boy like licks a cold pole and it causes his tongue to freeze to the pole. And that can happen. I've seen that happen to people, like, because it's always been, especially for people listening who aren't in a cold or like an area that has like a winter climate or whatever, metal gets so cold that something wet touches it like will freeze instantly. So it can even happen, like it can happen with your tongue, but it can even happen with like your hands or a wet glove or something like that. You grab a pole and then when you try to take it off, you can feel like it has a little resistance because you've frozen onto it immediately.
Yeah, it can happen with anything, like you said. Anything.
So anything. So this guy fighting initially inside the bar, he was probably a sweaty mess as a result of all this. I can only hope that he was as smashed as I imagine he was, and his adrenaline was still going as this happened, because that is awful.
I wonder if he could maybe have a lawsuit that he could place against the belt company or his pants company. If he was wearing a pair of Levi's and something happened and that's why the pants came down. Like maybe there's some kind of an argument he could make there. Yeah,
that would be an interesting trial. They could have that trial maybe in the same court that the Jawbreaker girl sues the Jawbreaker company.
They're going to do them all at the same time is what they'll do.
Yeah, they could maybe sue together.
Yeah.
A class action for everyone who's been injured in this embarrassing way.
Yeah.
The defendants, Levi's, Jawbreaker. And I'm sure there'll be more.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll learn about one a little later.
Well, this next story, I kind of questioned whether or not I could even include it here. This is another one that came from a listener. Sheila sent us a voicemail letting us know about a serial killer that's active near Vancouver Island. It's the serial killer. Of course, the media gives the killer a name. In this case, it's the Salish Sea serial killer. But normally, Keep Canada Weird wouldn't discuss a serial killer, but when the killer is a sea otter, It kind of falls within our beat here, covering animals and weird Canadian news. This one is certainly weird. I'm not going to let the newsboy take this on because it's a bit too dark for the newsboy. You want me to just read it?
Yeah, you go for it. The newsboy starting his own podcast, so he's no longer going to be reading anymore
That's it.
news stories. So
I thought we killed him last week, but
it's complicated.
he came on to this week to plug the podcast.
Only to plug the podcast. Then he's going to go back to his grave and just record episodes.
Okay. Before I read this article, do you know what a sea otter is? Like those are the things that kind of look like seals, sort of. They're kind of like smaller seals.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way of describing them. From what the
if a seal and a beaver had a baby, it would kind of look like a sea otter.
Yeah, would you put
sense?
the muskrat into that category as well?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's read the article here. Off the coast of Vancouver Island, a lone sea otter, the locals named Ollie, has become a bit of a fixture. Once known as the lonely sea otter by local whale watchers, the 13-year-old now carries a much more sinister title, the Salish sea serial killer. Ollie's been linked to the deaths of at least 20 river otters, though experts believe the real number is likely much higher. But this is much worse than a predator-prey situation or even one of a protective territorial animal. It seems the Salish sea serial killer doesn't simply dispatch his victims and move on. He's been known to drag their lifeless bodies with him for days. He swims with them, he eats with them, and even drops them off on nearby rocks when he goes diving for food. But it gets even worse than that. Many of the dead river otters also show signs of sexual trauma, with reports suggesting Ollie continues interacting with them long after they've died. But what doesn't Ollie do to them? He doesn't eat them. His violence doesn't seem to be fueled by hunger. Sea otters typically feed on shellfish like crabs, urchins, and mussels, and Ollie's said to have an abundant supply of each. Instead, experts theorize that his aggression stems from loneliness and sexual frustration, as he's one of the only sea otters in the area, and there doesn't seem to be a female. For now, Ollie remains a lone and lethal presence at Race Rocks, and experts are watching closely to see if the arrival of more sea otters in the area could curb his savage appetite. But until then, river otters and perhaps other small marine animals would be wise to steer clear of his hunting grounds. I read that slow and dramatic because it is.
Yeah.
That's horrifying. I'm terrified of sea otters, especially this one. If there is or isn't an animal uprising, whatever Ollie has going on there, that sends shivers down my spine.
Well, it's interesting to see how lawless the animal community is. Imagine if this was a human being, and sure,
Someone
maybe
would've
they
stepped
live
up.
maybe they live on a little, a boathouse, and they kind of float on this dock, and they're killing people and holding onto their dead bodies for a while, and they're, maybe they're having sex with the dead bodies and those types of things, right?
Okay.
But imagine our response would be like, yeah, they're just lonely.
They're just
don't go
sexually
near 'em.
frustrated.
Just don't go near
Yeah.
them.
Yes, the animal kingdom, I think, needs some justice here because lonely or sexually frustrated or not,
It's no excuse for murder. And then what Ollie is doing to the bodies afterwards is disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing, but it's not unprecedented. In fact, it's not the only similar story. There's another otter in the area, another sea otter in the area that's known for violent tendencies. But this one, another sea otter named Whiffin, has been seen attacking and killing ducks for similar reasons and treating them in similar ways. So maybe sea otters are just. The animal uprising happens. We know the crows are the brains behind it. They're going to send out, the dumb animals in huge numbers to be the frontline killers. I think the sea otters are going to be like the barbarians that they send when our defenses are weakened to just like rape and pillage.
I
Because
think
these
they'll
things
be
are vicious.
after the uprising steamrolls through us and it's just kind of dead bodies lying around and cleanup that has to be done. The sea otters are the ones doing the cleanup. So they're dragging the bodies out. They're doing God knows what to us. They're freezing our penises. They're doing all types.
We need to reset the show. We have a dark tone, a dark energy here. I think I know a story that is going to cheer us up. Who doesn't like a good nasty divorce? Who doesn't like a good Bigfoot Sasquatch hunting story? No one in their right mind wouldn't like those two concepts being jammed together. And we have just that. Let's take our last break of the night, and then we'll come back for a nasty Sasquatch related divorce. This next segment, Aaron, I think we'll just call this nonsense, because that's the only way to describe this divorce case that's playing out in British Columbia. But it's custom made for Keep Canada Weird. This is exactly the kind of story that we're looking for. I have a short video here. I'm going to play it. That'll introduce the story, but then we'll dig even deeper because there's a lot going on in this one. Here it comes.
A BC man's obsession with finding Sasquatch has led to quite a contentious divorce. According to a recent decision handed down at BC Supreme Court, an unnamed 57-year-old man's repeated hunts for Sasquatch is the reason why he is not entitled to spousal support. The couple separated in 2020 after the wife found out he went on one of these searches with his ex-girlfriend. He tried to claim spousal support from her, saying he was injured on one of those trips, leaving him unable to work. But the judge didn't buy it because the man had since gone on multiple camping, fishing, and Sasquatch hunting trips.
Oh, man. What a way to get, if this was an affair, maybe, as you heard there, what started the breakup is he went Sasquatch hunting with his ex and didn't tell his wife. If that was an affair, what a ridiculous situation.
So was the Sasquatch called as a witness?
Well, you want to learn more about the trial?
Yeah, of course I do.
And we'll find out.
Yeah.
Because that news clip, it only brushes over the surface. It tells us just enough to be like, I have a million questions about how this trial went down. I found an article that went a bit deeper here, and I'll summarize it. A British Columbia man's claim for spousal support has been denied after a judge ruled that his ongoing expeditions to track down Sasquatch suggest he is capable of working. The case centered on the man's claims that he was unable to hold employment due to chronic pain caused by a 2016 accident, which saw him fall on an icy staircase at a hotel in Sayward, BC, an incident that resulted in a $350,000 settlement and qualified the man for a federal disability pension, which is further supplemented by provincial assistance. However, despite all this, the judge in the spousal support hearing was not convinced that the man was totally disabled or incapable of earning an income. In a decision issued on January 17th, BC Supreme Court found that the still unnamed 57-year-old man who frequently ventures into remote areas of BC in search of the mythical creature had not sufficiently proven he was unable to work. Now here's a quote. The claimant continues to enjoy exploring remote areas of BC in search of Sasquatch. The decision also noted that the man had made no effort since 2016 to seek employment in a less physically demanding field, despite the man's own testimony at the trial that he was intellectually far above average. The divorce proceedings also revealed an unusual catalyst for the couple's separation. The man's wife told the court that in August of 2020, he embarked on a Sasquatch hunting trip on Vancouver Island, bringing along an ex-girlfriend without informing her first. Upon learning of this, she declared her intent to end their marriage via a text message, and she never once reconsidered. The court ultimately ruled in favor of granting the divorce and denied the man's request for any spousal support. That is a trial. Where the hell were we? We could have had that trial, Jawbreaker girl versus Jawbreaker, and then the man with the Canadian circumcision versus the jeans, the belt, and possibly the police department and the bar. That would have been a day of hearings.
Yeah, this guy needs a reality show. You see a lot of these, on the Sci-Fi Channel or something, or, Discovery or something like that, where there's like a Bigfoot hunting show or whatever. And this one would be great because you would have all of these divorce, breakup, spousal support proceedings happening in the background of while he's still trying to find a Sasquatch.
Yes.
And then his colleagues in the field, of Sasquatch hunting are like, you're too distracted, man, with this spousal support case. Like, you're not focused on the goal of finding Bigfoot.
You're never gonna
Come
find
on.
him. Yeah. And every episode could be its own kind of bottle episode where it's just him in a different area searching or pursuing a specific lead related to Bigfoot. But the narrative that would tie all the episodes together is the unfolding court case related to his marriage breakdown. His mistress or his ex-girlfriend or whatever could be a character in it. And this would be a great show because they have to artificially create drama in these kinds of shows. This has it all. Where the hell is a TV crew?
Yeah, we need to start putting pen to paper with this idea. I think Keep Canada Weird produces the Sasquatch trials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's probably a lot of good names for it, but none come to mind right now. But I would gladly pay an extra $5 a month for Netflix if they would send a film crew up to just kind of hang with this guy. And like we say in so many stories that we've covered before, like we've said so many times in covering these kind of bizarre stories, I guarantee that this guy has a lot more interesting stuff going on aside from his divorce trial and his hunt for Bigfoot. This is somebody that has a million crazy stories.
Oh, I see him as an inventor as well, as a type of person who has like hundreds of inventions in his garage. you know?
Yeah. And just no one will invest in him, and it's probably the government's related in that. And,
yeah, we'll see him on Shark Tank at some point in time.
A wild story, though, but all things considered, and to be logical about the whole thing, if you can go hunting for Bigfoot in the forest, you can find employment, and especially if, like he says, what an awful admission. He says he's intellectually far above average. First of all, anyone who says that is an idiot. Secondly, there's a lot of jobs this guy could have. His ex shouldn't be giving him anything.
No, my God, no. I mean,
he wouldn't need it if that TV show was there.
No, he'd have everything he needed. That would be his job. And this could be, I'm sure the History Channel might be interested in this. I'm sure there's some kind of loose tie to history as well in the area that he's hunting for the Sasquatch in.
The history of Sasquatch hunting in Canada told through the lens of a man in the middle of a marriage breakdown.
Yeah. The layers. It's the layers that makes it work.
Yeah, I think it'd be fantastic, man. But I guess we did our own version of it tonight. This is probably as close as that story is going to get to a TV show at this point, but I would love to learn more. If for some miracle that anyone associated with that story is listening to this podcast, please get in touch. I want to know everything there is to know about this case.
Imagine if we could have him on the show.
I have a feeling it's Bill Steele, that guy from New Brunswick.
It's at least his cousin. It's Bill's cousin.
Bill Steele's cousin.
Yeah.
The guy, and for people new to the show, Bill Steele is a character in New Brunswick who is at war with his town council while running an Airbnb out of a abandoned prison.
But the thing that makes it not Bill Steele is that nobody would divorce Bill Steele.
That's true. And also, this man's still unnamed. Bill Steele would have put his name out there.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
We're getting near the end of it here, but I want to end with something fun. We've done consumer complaints in the past, right? We've had several of those. We've had Randy's Airbnb. We've had Jawbreaker Girl versus Jawbreakers. We're going to flip sides a little bit here. We don't have a consumer complaint, but what I did get by voicemail earlier was a complaint about consumers. So we're going to change teams. This is a listener named Mel, who I think is just really sick of dealing with people after the holiday shopping and the return and exchange season that follows it. But I think maybe she just wants to rant about people, but I'm going to give her the floor. Here it comes.
Hello, Aaron and Jordan. My name is Mal. I'm from Arkansas in the United States, and I have my own consumer complaint, but it's not really a consumer complaint. It's more of an employee complaint on the consumers. So to preface this, I work in retail. I love my job. I've worked here for a long time. And as we know, Christmas has came to an end. That was last month. And so we are coming to a close to the return and exchange season. And so I tell all of my employees as the Christmas season starts, be sure to, ask everyone if they want a gift receipt, because, you never know if the people are going to like the gift that you get them. And because of that, we have a big return policy. You have to have the receipt in order to do any returns or exchanges, which I believe is at literally every single store. People don't like bringing in their receipt to do any type of returns or exchanges, and it's annoying because we try to give all of the customers the information on, all of that, and we have signage posted everywhere, and it's on the receipt. And so the fact that people want to come in here and act like straight Karens because they didn't do their end of the bargain and read, or at least call and ask, or even go to our website. We have it listed on the website. So I'm sorry to all of the consumers out there who have had problems with stores and stuff, but at the same time, I'm not sorry. Needless to say, please, everyone, if you're listening, don't go into stores yelling at people until the point that they cry, because it's not okay, and karma's a bitch. Have a great day.
Jeez. Well, I'm glad we helped you get that off your chest, Mel. Jeez.
Yeah. What other problems do you have?
I think she was just on her way home from work after a crappy day. And it's like, I want to rant. She's sparing like her roommate or her partner at home the rant. She's like, you know what? I'm going to give this one to Jordan and Aaron.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's a good reminder. But you know what? It kind of falls right into my playbook where I talked a lot during this holiday season about the evils of gift cards. But I can apply a lot of that same thing to the evils of gift giving. Now, I don't want to put Mal out of a job, but if instead of buying people gifts that you're uncertain about and needing to get gift receipts and all this other BS, just give them an envelope with some cash. Let them get what they want. The cash doesn't tie them to a specific retailer. It doesn't lead them needing to wait in some lineup on January 8th to return it. I have a big problem with the culture of reckless gift giving.
I think though, if we're gonna dissolve into just giving cash all the time, then let's not give gifts. Let's just not give gifts anymore.
That's a start. But
now I can get on board with that. But if you're gonna give gifts, I think you should go beyond cash and pick out a gift that you think that they will like, because that's the point of giving a gift.
And maybe it shouldn't be something of monetary value that you would want to return. Like, what if it's more? Not everyone is artsy and craftsy.
Yeah,
but they just need.
A gift that you made, something that's homemade, that you made with your own hands, your own mind, your own talents. And whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. It's a thought that counts. And I can get on board with that as well. I still find cash to be a sterile gift to give. Unless, again, somebody says it's their birthday. All I want is money because I'm saving up for a trip, or I'm saving up for this.
I don't know.
But
I don't see it that way. I think whatever the occasion is, if you're getting a couple gifts and everyone gives you some cash and you leave your birthday party or on Christmas morning or something and you got just a stack of bills in your pocket,
but if it's Christmas morning and if it's Christmas, a birthday, I can see a birthday.
Every gift
listen,
every gift the kid opens on Christmas morning is a box with a couple bills in it from Santa. I love it.
But imagine, but giving children money can be exciting for them, right? But a lot of the times with these returns, we're talking about gifts from one adult to another adult. But you can't just be giving money to everybody, because then it's like, okay, Merry Christmas, Jordan. I gave you $100, and then I open my card from you and it's got $100 in it, and we're just where are we? What are we doing here?
It's true. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna workshop it, and I'll come up with how this works. Regardless, though, Mel, I hope you feel better after getting all that off your chest. It would suck to work retail in Arkansas.
We do offer free therapy here on Keep Canada Weird, so any Canadians that have any issues at all, you want to call in and just air your grievances. It doesn't even have to be consumer related. You got a problem with somebody. You got something you're going through that you've tried BetterHelp online. You've tried.
You've met with a psychic.
You've met with a psychic. You've done it all. You've talked to family and friends, and they're just not getting you where you need to be with this issue. Bring it to us. I think
I have it. The Keep Canada Weird rant room. It can be a segment. All you need is a rant. Any listener out there who has something to scream to the heavens, save the heavens, scream it at us. Send us a voicemail with your rant about whatever's driving you nuts. I just did mine. Gift cards and gift giving. I'm a cheapskate. So seeing people, even if it's not my money, seeing someone else waste their money at Walmart buying something that someone doesn't want for them and getting a gift receipt so they can just return it. It's all just so stupid. That bothers me. Aaron, I've heard your rants. Anyone out there with a rant, call the Keep Canada Weird rant room and we will try to air it.
Yeah, we will try. Now, keep in mind that, some rants are better left unranted. So use your own personal filter to determine if this is something that you want on the air.
But like, what's an example? Like if someone out there has a problem
okay, here's one. I got a perfect example. Say I am a sea otter and I am murdering other animals and having sex with their dead bodies because I'm lonely. I'm not, I don't want to, we shouldn't entertain those types of problems.
Okay. Yeah. Don't implicate yourself in a crime.
Yeah.
But that said, if that sea otter who's lonely and he's doing this horrible thing, maybe if he had some kind of rant room where he could air his grievances and frustration.
Okay. So if you haven't committed a crime yet, so you have a problem and it could lead to a crime, but it hasn't yet. Call us.
We'll see what we can
talk you off the ledge,
No, we won't even do that. I'm just
okay.
hopeful. It's like the Hail Mary approach to therapy.
Yeah.
People say like it feels better to just talk about it. I don't know if that's true, but we can do like the Hail Mary version. Our form of therapy will be like, hopefully it feels better to talk about it.
Hopefully it feels better to leave a voicemail about it and hear two Canadian podcasters talk about it a week later.
All right. The Keep Canada Weird rant room is a thing. I'd be excited for this. Let's do it. We'll let the listeners decide. If you want to do it, rant. Go for it. I know don't rant about us. Like rant about your partner.
Not us. Yeah, your job, we've been there, done that. We've heard plenty of rants about us. We don't. We've done full episodes on those before. We don't need it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see what comes out of the woodwork. You can send a voicemail at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And if your voice is aired on the show, you get what I'm now calling hot pink swag packs because I bought a big box of hot pink envelopes and that's what the swag packs are going out in. So probably the next 50 or 75 voicemailers who hear their voicemail on the show will get some embarrassing mail from us. And again, if your voicemail is aired, just send an email to nighttimepodcast@gmail.com and I'll get that out to you right away. With all that said, I get out of breath with that spiel every time. With all that said, let's put a bow on this, Aaron. Or should we drop a cherry on it?
Both, please.
Or should we stick a fork in it?
I said both. That too.
Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan Backhoe Bonaparte. Until next time.
If you're gonna go Sasquatch hunting, make sure it's transparent and open with your loved ones who is going to be involved in the hunt for the mythical beast. You don't want Sasquatch hunting brought up on in a divorce case. Doesn't look good.
No. And Jordan, until next time, if you're going to get into a brawl or a disagreement at a bar, just make sure your belt is tightened because God knows we don't want you to lose your penis.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. If you got a news story from your area that you'd like to share with us or have any thoughts or theories or opinions on anything we discussed tonight, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us by using the voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And on that topic, I want to give a big thank you to this episode's correspondents. If your voice message was aired tonight, you can email me your address. My email is nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get a Keep Canada Weird badge and swag pack sent out to you. I just ask that you wear the badge proudly and responsibly. Next, a big thanks goes out to Aaron for another great night, you Nicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data for the outro version of O Canada. And then, of course, a sincere and massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening. Your support makes this show possible. And if you'd like to support the show even more, please consider a subscription to the premium feed, which can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. The premium feed costs just a couple dollars a month, but that money will fund the creation of new episodes of the show, and it'll give you those episodes 2 days early, ad-free, and access to a back catalog of episodes. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media. It helps a lot too, and it's free. Your support is very much appreciated. So with all that said, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and together, let's keep Canada weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
You remember pants IKEA lockups?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
They could come in handy. They were pants, for people who don't know. This is dating us.
This is early 90s.
Early 90s. Instead of like your top button on your pants, like you'd have the zipper and then the button on top, they had a zipper and then it had like a little like lock where you had this tiny little padlock that would lock, and you had a key that you had to carry to unlock it.
A very tiny key. Yeah.
Yeah, like it kind of like, it looked like the kind of lock that would be like on a diary or something.
Yeah.
Like a tiny little padlock and a little key. And they were like a craze. They were in style for a month, maybe.
A little longer than a month, but not much longer. Yeah. A friend of mine was over my house one time, and he didn't have the key to his lockups.
To his pants?
Yeah, and he had to pee really bad.
That sucks.
He was having a hard time.